How many of you guys were focusing on your inhale and kind of feeling, right, that little bit of lift, right? And because it brings awareness to our inhale every time. And because it's a gentle tugging, a tugging feeling or a tugging motion, so we don't feel like we are trying to straighten our back to this fullest type of thing, but we just slightly go upwards every time we inhale. And sometimes you may feel something like this, which is kind of a natural feeling of the body inhaling and exhaling. But because we're focusing on that, so naturally we focus on our breath, and at the same time we focus on the top of the head. Because the top of the head going upwards, so we don't go back to try to arch our back, and we don't try to lean forward because it just pulls slightly to the top. And just that little bit, not pulling hard because it's a gentle tug. So therefore, even if we are round back in the beginning, it's okay. So then we just gently feel like we're just lifting up a little. And over time, the back starts to rise more and more. And remember, the back actually rises more and more because the energy is changing. When the body starts to relax more, the frequency of energy starts to increase in the body. So the body naturally feels lighter. And when the body feels lighter, because the frequency of energy is changing, the density of the body is changing. So that's how we get into that straight back. So sometimes when we look at people meditate in a straight back, we think they're sitting there and they're doing this. And sometimes they actually are. They're forcing themselves to kind of get this straight back so they look like they're doing a great meditative position. But that's actually the wrong way to do it. Because if they were to force themselves and they were to look like they're straight, but in order to get into that position, their back is very tense. And if they have a tense back, they are directly blocking the energy flow. They're restricting it because the back need to be relaxed. So traditionally, when a person's actually in a meditative position and their back is straight, the reason why is because the density of their body is very low. Therefore, the energy frequency is very high, and the body naturally lifts up. And on an extreme note is when somebody levitates. Levitation is that on a very extreme note. But when the energy is not at that extreme, you don't come off the ground, but your body naturally lifts up. I personally experienced this when I started this journey on February 8th of 2015. My body went from this normal, heavy, dense, walking around feeling like I'm just so sluggish, and to lifting up, like my arms are practically floating, my chest is floating upwards. So I experienced this for the first time. And everything healed. The density of the body changed because I increased my energy in my body by a lot. And then before that, I was meditating for about a year. And then the first time after that event, when I went to meditate, I sat there for 11 minutes. I remember this, 11 minutes without any timer, because usually I would have to put a 5-minute timer, because if I don't, I would open my eyes before 5 minutes is up, because it'll feel like forever. So I had to put a 5-minute timer. If not, couldn't even do it for that long. And I remember the first time I sat there and I just sat in meditation, and I noticed how easy it was. There was no pain in my back, and I was so straight and it was so easy. And then I opened my eyes and I looked at the timer. I did a stopwatch instead, and it was 11 minutes. And I go, wow, this is the longest I've ever meditated without using a timer, and just like with ease. And it felt so easy. I closed my eyes and I said, okay, let me try it again and see what happens. I just went back in, and then I opened up my eyes and I looked, 11 minutes again. I was like, oh my God, suddenly I can meditate, and suddenly my back was straight. So that's when I started to understand how it really worked.